Patrons, this is the Pick of the Week podcast, the podcast where I tell you what to pick up and add to your in-stock trades order that I think you'll enjoy. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be Absolute Preacher Volume 2. Preacher happens to be my favorite series of all time, dealing with small-town Reverend Jesse Custer and his exploration to find God and make him speak for all the crimes in the world after he is possessed by this being called Genesis. I love Preacher. It's written by Garth Ennis with art by Steve Dillon, and hands down, one of the most offensive, but one of the most awesome series of all time. The first Absolute Edition came out about a year ago, and it got my perfect award. It was one of the best looking Absolute Editions that I have ever seen. It's gorgeous. It looks like a Bible. It just fits the tone so perfectly that I cannot wait to get my hands on this edition. For those of you out there that are wondering, what is Preacher all about? Well, I kind of already summed that. It involves a small-town Reverend Jesse Custer, and you see Jesse is possessed by a being called Genesis, and he then goes around the world with his buddy Cassidy, who happens to be an Irish vampire, and his hit woman girlfriend, Tulip, and he's trying to make God answer for all the crimes that are going on in the world. It's a very, very heavy subject. However, Garth Ennis really handles it with a bit of a deft hand. I know, Preacher and Death don't really go hand in hand together, see what I did there? But without a shadow of a doubt, it's one of the most brilliant comics that I've ever read. At its core, though, Preacher is a modern-day Western, and like I said, Preacher is offensive. It's very, very, very offensive. In fact, if you get offended by just about anything, chances are Preacher's not for you. You should probably not read it because, well, Garth Ennis is going to offend you in some way, shape, or form. Dealing with topics such as race, religion, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever you name it, it's in there. And it's dealt with in a way that I'm pretty sure was meant to really get under a lot of people's skin. Art duties are handled by the late Steve Dillon, and admittingly the art isn't anything brilliant. It's not anything that's going to knock your socks off. And at this point in the series, Steve Dillon had kind of refined his style where it got a little less detailed from the earlier issues, and it's in a more of a cartoony way, which fits the tone of Preacher a little bit better. I understand why he probably had to do that because, hey, you gotta meet deadlines, right? And they didn't know that a small series like this would blow up to what it would eventually become, so Dillon had to kind of change his art style in order to meet those deadlines and in order to meet the demand. However, it does not take away from the fact that Steve Dillon is a very effective artist, and this is his magnum opus. Retailing for $150, and you can get it for about 50% off on in-stock trades this coming week, Absolute Preacher Volume 2 contains Preacher issues 27 through 40, as well as a plethora of one-shot issues, and I'm sure it's going to come with a dearth of special features inside of it. I cannot wait to get my hands on this and have it sitting on my shelf next to Absolute Preacher Volume 1. There you have it, patrons. That is the pick of the week, Absolute Preacher Volume 2. Like I said, if you have not picked up Absolute Preacher Volume 1, your library is pretty much incomplete without having it. It's that good of a special edition. I have never seen an Absolute like it except for maybe the Sandman editions, and even then they don't really compare to how great of a special edition this book really is, and I can't wait to get my hands on the second one. Thanks again, patrons, for all of your support. Thank you for your donations, and thank you for your time. I love you guys. Have a great week.